Welcome to Hey That's Me, a commentary podcast. I'm Patrick Hotner.
I am Brian Lynch. This is a great episode, Patrick.
It is. It's a really great episode on one of my favorite, I guess you could say, superhero things. It is a superhero. He is technically a superhero, even if he does not fit the traditional definition of superhero.
He's an anti-hero. And there are also other anti-heroes in it. It's a team up in like an hour movie. And he introduces all these original characters. Well, not original to the Marvel Universe, but new characters to the MCU. Makes you love them. And has amazing action, amazing music, amazing visuals. It's great.
It really looks great. It looks fantastic. For a first-time director, this thing looks so good. He knows exactly what he wants. I mean, we talk about it during the episode, but like just being able to get both the visuals from a Universal monster movie and a Hammer monster movie in one thing and have it like feel seamless is rad.
And make it feel like it belongs in the MCU. Like if these characters met Iron Man, I wouldn't bump on it. You know,
no.
Although I would bump because Iron Man is dead. He's dead.
But this would make the most sense for him because these guys are all spooky, Brian.
Yeah, they're spooky treats. Now, speaking of the look, and Michael's not going to be listening to this because we know which one he prefers. Patrick.
Yeah.
What do you like better, the black and white version or the color version? Both available on Disney+.
I think I like the color version better.
Yeah.
Just because the colors are so cool in it. Like the way it is saturated and the way that they colored it, it doesn't look like anything else that's being made today, which is rad.
You're incorrect. The answer is they're both great. I'm going to tell Michael to just listen to this part. And you're in big trouble. No, I like the color too. I do like the fact that the black and white goes to color at the end, and the song choice that makes the transition is beautiful, and the fact that the little amulet is in color when the rest of it's in black and white. But that said, it's exactly your point. It looks like when you're flipping through an old, like you're watching an old movie, the colors are a little washed out, a little oversaturated at the same time. It's great. It's either way, it's a visual feast for the eyes, Patrick.
We, of course, watched the black and white version when we did it with him. Yeah. But you can also pretend that you're watching the color version, too, because it's pretty much the same except the visuals, you know?
Right.
If you want to get the real Hey, That's Me experience, you watch the black and white one.
And also, I think Michael would prefer you watch the black and white one, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite character?
I love Kirkpatrick in it. Yeah. I think he's great in it.
So good. And also, guys, look up Kirk Thatcher just to see why we like Kirk Thatcher as much as we do. He's a genius. He's awesome. I'm happy we're in the same world as Kirk Thatcher.
I hope we can get him on here someday because there's like 17 different things I want to do with him on here.
See, I like, in terms of favorites in this, I love Ted. I love Man-Thing. Have you ever seen the Man-Thing movie? The horror movie?
No.
It's not great. It's very bad, in fact. If you want to get the gist of it while not watching the whole thing, I'm going to plug something else. You know Mr. Sunday Movies? Have you ever listened to them? They do a great Man-Thing episode. What I like about them is they don't just hate everything they talk about. They try to find something nice, and they do a really good episode recap of that. It's not good. Man-Thing is a hard character to get right because he's kind of like a low-rent Swamp Thing. But because of Michael's one movie, now Swamp Thing is a low-rent Man-Thing, is what I say. Sure. I have that tattooed on my back.
Low on your back.
Low on my back. Swamp Thing.
I just bought a Man-Thing original piece of art.
What did you buy?
By Val Merrick. It's an original black and white sketch of Man-Thing. It rules.
I did similarly. I bought a Man-Thing pop vinyl.
Oh, sure.
It's not the same thing, and I didn't do that. I just wanted. Patrick doesn't like pop vinyls, unless they make Hey That's Me pop vinyls, in which case Patrick will come around. I think.
Then we love them.
Yeah,
we love them. You can put us next to your Vince Gilligan pop vinyls.
Yeah. What actual people do they have? They have J.J. Abrams, James Gunn.
There's a Guillermo.
Miyazaki.
Yeah.
I myself have a Jim Henson.
Oh, I also have a Henson.
And he has a Kermit on his hand, but you can also get him with Ernie. That's the variant, I think. I have a Mr. Rogers.
Oh, okay. You have a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any in your office right now? Like, what could you grab?
I'm looking. I have one of myself.
Oh, wow.
That my sister got me. She got it made. I'm not famous enough. And I have a Secret Life of Pets 2 pop vinyl. And I have a Minions pop vinyl across the room, too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I have any in this room.
Patrick, whatever.
I think they're all buried in a closet.
So you don't listen to my other podcast?
Popcast.
Yeah.
Funko Popcast.
Yeah, Funko Popcast. Yeah. You don't. It's mostly just like
Brian, can I tell you something? Funko Popcast is the name of a real podcast.
Well, go looking for it. Oh, really? Okay, so of course it is, though. What else
funny.
What else would they call it, though? What else would they call it?
We should tell people about this show a little bit. This show is a commentary podcast where we do audio commentaries on movies and TV shows with people who never got to do audio commentaries for them. You know, whether they're composers or directors or actors or costume designers or production assistants or whatever. We talk to everybody and we get the lowdown on how movies and TV shows and everything that you love gets made.
We're really grateful to Disney Plus for making this. But Disney Plus doesn't have commentaries, so
that's true.
We're providing that service for you.
And I hope that they don't start doing them because then that takes work away from us.
Well, it's okay.
You know?
I mean, but wouldn't that be a fair trade to we get more commentaries in our life?
Do we get to work on them for Disney Plus?
No, we're not even allowed to watch them.
So we're the Don Gillers of this.
I don't know who that is. We're the Sarah Michelle Gellers, is what I'm hearing.
Don Giller is the man who had every episode of David Letterman on VHS and would upload them to YouTube, and then he got hired by Letterman, and now there's significantly less uploads on YouTube.
Oh, no.
Because he's not allowed to do it on his channel anymore because the Letterman YouTube is like, we want to be the official home for Letterman videos. So we would be the Don Giller in this situation.
What's Don up to?
He's working for Letterman. He's like the guy who goes through and they're like, we need the best Charles Grodin interviews. And he's like, well, on April 14th, 1986, blah, 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 you know.
Wow. You know what they say, though? Do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Don loves Letterman and now never working a day in his life.
Never working a day.
And he's our guest next week, so it's pretty exciting to bring him up now.
I would love it.
What are we going to watch with him? Just an episode that he uploaded?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Cool.
So you can pull this up on Disney Plus. It's available on there if you have a subscription. If you don't have a subscription, there's not much I can do for you. But I hope that you have seen this because it's worth your time. And also we should plug Director by Night, which is the documentary about the making of this, made by Michael's brother, Anthony Giacchino, who's a fantastic documentary filmmaker. And it really goes into the process of how they did this, but also goes into the process of how this was sort of a lifelong thing for Michael, who used to love making monster movies as a kid and now is getting to make monster movies with, very high budgets.
Right. And it's pretty neat to see the tricks that he learned in school. He uses them in the Marvel movie he made, which is really neat.
It's great. Definitely go check it out.
You're great, Patrick. You're great.
Thank you so much. All right, we're going to start on the count of 3, and then we'll say go, and you press play when we say go.
3, 2, 1, go. We did it. We're here.
We're here.
There it is.
Who do we got with us?
We got the special presentation from Marvel with us.
Now, are there 2 special presentations? Is Guardians Holiday Special a special presentation too?
I guess, yes, that was a special presentation as well. We created that opening logo. Well, this logo was a whole different... Actually, this logo right here, this was one of the first things I showed Kevin about, in terms of what I wanted to do, was I made this logo myself. I took it and I added in all the werewolf scratches and all the screams and changed the music so that it went into a whole horror thing, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And I just did that in Premiere myself, and it was really fun. And then of course they went and did a nicer version for me.
The first Marvel thing you did was Spider-Man?
First thing was, it was Spider-Man. I was called in to talk to, wasn't it Doctor Strange?
Oh, you're right.
Doctor Strange. Right. But around this, it's
similar, maybe the same year even.
It was around the same year because we talked about both movies at the same time.
Okay.
And we also talked about the Marvel logo at that time. So those 3 things all sort of happened around the same time. This is fun because we tested this show with so many, we had so many test screenings for this thing. And no one could understand what the heck it was, right? So every time they'd be like, wait, I don't understand, where's Captain America?
Sure.
Isn't he, or where's Spider-Man or Doctor Strange?
Sure.
No one could wrap their heads around the fact that we were showing them something that had nothing to do with anything. So this whole opening here was added because of that, because after about 4 test screenings where they were just, the numbers were just down in the dumps. I said, well, why don't we, because I didn't want to include any dialogue or anything about that stuff. So I said, why don't we in the beginning put an image of the Avengers and say, this, but we're going to take you here, And then, and once we did that, suddenly the whole thing changed.
So funny.
And it was just
because you don't want to spoon feed stuff to people, but
No.
sometimes they need it a little bit.
they just needed to know
Yeah.
that this lives in the same place
But you
as
won't see
all
them.
the other Marvel stuff they love. So,
Right.
so that I totally get, but it took a while for us to get there and figure it out. That shot right there was a shot that I always wanted to do. Again, I boarded a lot of this really badly myself, and then Ken Perkins, who is and Toby Cochran did the rest of the boards for the show, and those guys are both amazing. But yeah, so I had a very specific feel I wanted for everything, and I kept saying to everyone, because I was sort of nervous, like, it's not going to be like very frenetic, and it's not going to be, crazy, camera moves all over the place. It's going to be very slow and deliberate. There's going to be a lot of long shots. And I felt myself having to keep sort of like, but it'll be okay. It'll be okay.
Sure.
It's not what you're normally used to, but it's going to be okay. And they were very trusting, and they were really great. And Kevin was fantastic. And the black and white thing, though, did not happen immediately because, I knew I wanted it to be in black and white, but I don't think
tough sell.
they were not on board 100% yet, until we started showing them some of the footage put together with music, with everything, and going, I see, absolutely. And then it became, well, it can't be anything but black and white.
Yeah.
Did you test screen it in black and white as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we did.
And the audience had no problem with it?
No.
Great.
No. And that's a great question. Maybe the first one was in color.
Okay.
It might have been.
I was reading the art book last night. It's really good.
Yeah, they did a good job on that.
But they talk about how you had another monitor that was just in black and white.
Yes, I had a separate monitor that was completely in black and white so that I could see. Because when you're shooting black and white, you have to light it differently.
Yeah.
So Zoe White, who was the DP, she's brilliant. She had to kind of deal with this fact that maybe it'll be in color, maybe it'll be in black and white. Neither of us knew that in the end it would be in both. But so she had to make sure that if I got my wish and it could be in black and white, it was going to look the right way.
And the two, when you watch both of them, they really have such different tone. Because this feels like a Universal movie.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
The other one feels like a Hammer movie.
Yes,
and
exactly.
it's like that's
we worked
so cool
really
that it works on
hard to
both.
get that look.
Yeah.
We actually filmed this out the 35 millimeter and then brought it back in.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
So that's why it looks so so legit in that way. And I know that filters and editing techniques and all of that stuff are getting more and more sophisticated, but still it feels like the best way to do it is just to do it.
Now, a lot of this set is practical, right?
All of it's practical.
All of it's practical.
Yes.
That's insane.
Yeah, we built 2 sets. There was originally supposed to be 3 sets, and I think 4 at first and then 3. And everything just sort of kept getting scaled back, which made it better in the end, as we started looking at budget and money. And I was like, well, I think we can do the whole thing if we build one main set. We have the hallway, we have the main rotunda, and most of our action can happen there. And then we have the maze, which they end up in, and that can be its own set. So those were the 2 sets we had, and then we had one outdoor shoot. It was an overnight that we did out in the woods in the middle of Georgia. That was interesting, and that's what we did, the flaming tuba and all that. So Harriet.
Yeah, let's talk about Harriet. Because I love Harriet.
Harriet is the greatest.
Yes.
Not only the greatest actress, she's an incredible actress, but just a human being and so fun to be around and so fun to work with. But when I asked her it was so fun. Everyone was like, really, you want the veil over her when she's doing I was like, yeah, just do the.
Yeah.
And her, just her expressions, her voice that comes out with that veil. I was sitting at the monitor while we were filming this, and I was just laughing because it was so good. She was doing so good. So Jeff Ford, who edited this, we were both sit back there by the monitor just giggling because it was so fun. And then I kept thinking, oh my God, am I the only one that likes this? Am I, are Jeff and I the only ones that kind of, get it?
Sure.
But
how did Harriet come to be a part of it? Was it an audition? Was it an ask? Was it a?
It was just she did this great scene. She's been in everything,
Of course,
right?
yes.
So she did this amazing scene though in Licorice Pizza.
Oh yeah,
where she plays the agent.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
she's smoking the cigarette and she's doing and she is just brilliant in that scene. And I was like, well, this is perfect. This person is perfect. So I called.
So funny.
Paul Thomas Anderson, who his kids and my kids went to school together, so they're friends. And so I was like, "You've worked with her. What do you think?" He's like, "Don't even think, but just hire her.
That's amazing.
Just hire her.
Wow.
You'll be happy. There's no way you will not be happy." And he was 100% right.
One of the best X-Files episodes. Eve
She's-
6.
Yeah,
Go watch it. It's great.
If you dig in, and Frasier too.
Yeah, Frasier, yeah.
If you dig into what she has done, you're like, oh my god,
Everything.
everything. So it was incredible. And Laura, of course.
Yes.
I mean, I don't even know what to say about Laura other than she is probably one of the greatest actresses on the planet. I think. Everything she does feels truthful. Everything she does is real. She finds a way to get the craziest sentences to sound like something that you instantly believe in.
Makes perfect sense.
Yes.
Right.
I don't know how she does it.
Did you discover her on the Nevers? Is that
Yes,
where?
exactly.
it's
That's where I saw her
fantastic.
on the Nevers, yes. Right. And I was just like, wow. And I couldn't take my eyes off her in every scene because she's just in it. And she's just such a joy to be with. And she loves horror films, and she grew up on Universal horror films, and so it's a huge part of her childhood. So her and her sister, I think, have a huge love for this stuff. So when we first met and started talking about it, she was so excited because it was really going to dig into the stuff that we loved as as kids watching all these.
Now let's talk about this guy.
Yeah. So
animatronic. Real guy? What are we dealing with here?
Animatronic. It was a late idea in the game, and Heather Quinn wrote the screenplay along with Peter Cameron. Now, near the very end, Peter had an idea that what if this guy was weird and he collected automatons, right? And they could be all over the place. And we're like, yeah, well, that's great, but we cannot afford to put them all over the place. And then we started talking. It was like, well, what about just one? What if he turned himself into one of those, And so then that became, because we were just looking for something weird to show the guy's personality, since he wasn't going to be there in person. How do we show the personality of this guy who honestly in the comics is very different portrayal than what we did here, but there are some similarities, but it was just fun. And the idea that guy would have the audacity to recreate himself to sort of lord over his own funeral. I don't know. There was something wonderful about. I love that shot of Laura.
I mean, a great tagline for this whole thing is, "What if this guy was weird?"
Yeah,
put that on the poster.
Which I guess kind of already was. He was a monster hunter. So
let's talk about some of the other Kirk. Kirk is
Kirk Thatcher. So Kirk is a long time good friend of mine, one of my best friends, and I always saw him as somebody that he should be acting. He should be like in the world of 70s character actors, he should have had the longest career. Yeah. Like if he had been born in that time period where he was old enough to do that, he would have been one of those guys that you would see on Rockford Files, Columbo. You'd see him on everything, whatever
and just
it was.
As
Love Boat.
A little context for people, started his career working in the Return of the Jedi Creature Shop.
Yes,
right.
Kirk Thatcher started as a kid, like he was 16 or
17,
something, working at ILM on Return of the Jedi, and then spent many years at ILM, and then moved over to the Muppets.
But also was Leonard Nimoy's
that's right.
too.
Leonard's associate producer on Star Trek 4.
And in Star Trek 4.
And in Star Trek 4 is Punk on the Bus, who is, so he's got his hands in so many different crazy nerd worlds.
You really helped him out at the convention circuit, though, now. Because now he's got Star Wars,
sure.
He's got Trek, he's got Muppets, and he's got Marvel.
Yes.
It's kind of all...
He's actually already in the comics, too. They added him into the comic books,
amazing.
Too. So there's an episode where an issue where he fights Wanda.
Oh, that rules.
Out in the woods somewhere.
Didn't they bring him back for Picard, that character?
Yeah.
They did.
Crazy.
Yep.
So is this the exterior?
So this is the exterior
scene.
We shot all of this at night. And this was like at 2 a.m. or whatever.
Wild.
Night shoots are crazy, but we were all out there doing this, and we had a nice, incredible techno crane, which helped us a lot with a lot of these shots, getting the shots from the overhead and all of that. But yeah, this was just out in the middle of the woods.
It's cool.
You can imagine. And I think, probably 100 yards to the left was a road.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the reasons doing it so late was that we hoped that no one would be driving on the road while we were shooting.
So funny. I mean, it's lucky that you got to do exterior stuff.
Now,
yes, let's talk about
David Silverman.
Of course.
So David Silverman is the one playing the tuba. Now, David Silverman was one of the absolute first hires for The Simpsons, right?
Yeah.
When and this was when it was still on the Tracy Ullman show.
Yeah.
And he is responsible largely for the way that show looks, the way it feels, everything about it, because he was there from day one. And by the way, still working on The Simpsons today.
Wild.
So after what, 30 years, 33 years,
More
whatever
than
it is,
that, yeah.
33 years, whatever it is. This guy has been a part of television history. But on the side, he plays tuba, right? And he goes to Burning Man. And we go to Burning Man with him every year. We've been now 10 years we've been going. And David and I have become best friends. Me, him, and Kirk are kind of a little trio there. And he is, so he plays that flaming tuba at Burning Man. And I had met him, I think, in 2007. Playing that thing, and I was like, "What the hell is that thing? Who is this guy?" Brad Bird introduced us. He goes, "You're gonna like this guy. I have a feeling you and him are gonna get along." So, and he wasn't wrong. So when I got to do this, we had we were doing like a Halloween fun thing in the backyard before we were in production on this, and Brad Winderbaum, who's one of the producers of the show, he was here that night. And David brought out his flaming tuba and started playing it. And Brad was like, "What the heck is that?" And before the night was over, we were all like, "That's got to be in the show. It's got to be in the show." So I figured maybe it would be some really fun sort of ritualistic funeral dirge type thing that he could do, where he could lead them into the maze. And that's what we ended up doing. But lighting that thing up in the middle of the woods was incredible, and even just standing there while he was playing it and seeing the light reflect on all the trees around us, it was magical. It really was.
When you're doing this and you're going through casting, you've got Kirk in mind, and you're like, Kirk is going to be in this.
Yes.
Is that a non-starter negotiation with everyone? You're just like, Kirk's in this, or
no?
Does he have to audition still? Like,
no. Kirk was just in. He was just in.
Okay.
He didn't have to audition. He was just in. David was just in. And the reason why it wasn't a hard call for Marvel was that Kevin is a huge Star Trek fan. Kevin loves Star Trek. And Kevin, I'll never forget, when I first introduced Kevin to Kirk, Kevin had called me. We were down at Comic-Con. It was late at night. Kevin called me and said, "Hey, where are you? We're having dinner if you want to join." I said, "Well, I would love to do that, but I'm with a couple of friends of mine, David Silverman and Kirk Thatcher." And Kevin immediately was like, "Wait, Kirk, you know Kirk Thatcher? You know Kirk Thatcher?" I was like, "What is happening here? What is happening here?" Never in my life did I think And he was like, "He did this, he did that."
Yeah.
He knew everything. And I was like,
that rules.
He's like, bring him. So we went
funny.
and had dinner with them, and that became a tradition now where we do that every year. But so when I said wanted Kirk in this, Kevin was of course like,
No
yes,
question.
100%.
How did Kirk feel? Did you have to talk him into it? Or
It was a hard sell. It was a hard sell. Kirk, he's very isolated. He doesn't like to talk to people.
He has a quote too.
Yes.
I mean, this is the first special presentation that Marvel had
Yes.
done. How much, not tampering, that's the wrong word, but like how much finessing did you guys have to do to figure out what's the difference between this and a movie and a TV show? Like,
well, I mean, it was, to me, I always approached it as a standalone episode of something like The Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, whatever, where you might get some kind of bottle story, So I think knowing that we were approaching it that way, there was always a North Star. So it wasn't like we were like, but we did always feel like, God, if we just added 20 more minutes to this, we could have a feature.
Sure.
Yep.
Which you could probably do. But at the time, we weren't really set for that. We knew right away from day one it was going to be up to an hour.
Okay.
That was sort of like the limit. And the thing that really inspired it was, Kevin and I were talking about this idea. Well, years ago, he came to me and was like, "Hey, you used to make movies. Do you miss doing that?"
Yeah.
I was like, "You have no idea how much I miss doing that. I love that." And he's like, "Well, we have, there's this thing, Disney Plus, it's coming up. We have to make a lot of stuff for it.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in that? And if so, what would you want to do?" And I immediately was just like, Werewolf by Night. I want to do, and of course his first reaction was like, "Are you nuts?" Nobody even knows what that is. He knew what it was, but I was like, I just always loved that comic. I had it as a kid. I thought it was fantastic. I love, the 30s horror films. All of that. I felt like there was a way we could do something with fun with that. So he immediately was like, "That sounds great." And then, months went by, nothing happened. And then I got a call saying, "Hey, are you interested in doing
Yeah.
this for real? And I was like, yes.
Wow.
And then COVID hit,
Yeah.
and I thought, no, this will never get made. But they didn't stop working. They kept pushing it.
What was the most annoying thing about shooting during COVID? Like, what was was there anything
Just
that made
the
things so much
testing
more
and the
difficult?
masks
Yeah.
was really tough. That the crew really wasn't free to mingle in the way that they normally would. So you weren't able to have the same camaraderie that you might have on a set. Especially after shooting, everyone just boom, disappeared, went their separate ways. No one would hang out afterwards, which in some ways is good because then you get a good night's sleep.
And you have your life, a little more of
Yes.
your life, yeah.
But it did change that level, and I think on set with everyone making sure, you had to have zones, right? Like I could go anywhere, but other people could only go A, B, or C, or just A, or it was very It was crazy, and I my hats off to anyone who organized all that because that was not easy.
Yeah.
So I feel deeply for the people that had to deal with that, but. Okay, so
Yes,
thing
this
with
rules.
the arm.
Let's talk about it. This rules.
This thing with the arm. This was also a last minute thing. As I was watching the stunt people show me the choreography for the thing, I thought, well, she got this big axe. Can we just cut his hand off? Can we just cut his arm or something off? And everyone, of course, looks at me as like, oh, God, now we got to figure this out. We shoot this tomorrow or whatever it was. But the prop guys were amazing. And the makeup guys and they were all incredible. And every time that something like this came up, even if it was last minute, it was like, great. So they did it. We got his arm off really quickly. They made an arm for us. Put the that weapon is so cool. The what do you call
Bowcaster,
it? Yeah, the
kind of, yeah.
bowcaster on the arm. But it was filled with a lot of spontaneous. Oh my! Because once you see it sort of happening in front of you in action, then suddenly you get all these other ideas.
Sure.
Where to go with it. And I really wanted this guy to get messed up. So that's Leonardo Nam. He's incredible. What a guy. Good guy. Great actor.
Is he a stunt actor too? Because I
No,
feel like
no,
he does
he-
a lot of good fighting.
He does great fighting.
Yeah,
Yeah, he does
yeah.
really great fighting. He's just,
Yeah.
super fit guy. But really nice. And everyone was so nice.
Yeah.
They play the opposite, really, of who they are in this thing.
Well, you just tell that they're all having so much fun.
Yes. And, when you're on sets, too, real sets.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. Everyone kept commenting, I can't believe we're sitting on a set. I'm looking around.
Yeah.
It's not
So-
a green screen.
Yeah, so half
Right.
the work is done for your mind already. You
Yeah.
know, you don't have to then sit there and imagine. Because from day one, I said, I don't want any green screen, anything here. I want to make this as real as possible. And whatever we have to do within the constraints of our budget, let's do it to make this work. But even just really graphic moments
Look at
like
that.
this
Yeah.
or something,
Yeah.
stuff like that you normally don't see.
Is there any difference beyond the fact that it has color? Like, did you guys have to edit anything?
No, we didn't change anything except
Is the
color.
rating different? Because it feels like
I don't think
when you
so. I think
see
it
all
stayed the
the-
same. Yeah,
it
because then you
feels
see
like
the
gore
blood.
and the blood. It would make it
Yep.
higher up.
Let's take a moment to appreciate Ted.
Ted Man Thing. All right, so Carrie Jones, who was our sort of lead at Howard Berger's company, K&B, he was in charge of Man Thing. He also played Man Thing in the suit as well. But we had a massive Man Thing, animatronic Man Thing they made, which was beautiful, beautiful. And we used it for all our reference and all of that, which was invaluable to the VFX guys because the lighting was so real. They could actually see. It wasn't just the balls and charts. They could see
Sure.
the lighting on the actual animatronic as well. So they would add to the animatronic to help it out some. But that was Gael just talking to that thing the whole time, back and forth through the hedges. And I tell you, all of these things, like especially all of the running around and everything, everyone's like, well, how are we going to do all of that? It's all a small set, this and that.
Yeah.
I was like, like that shot of her running.
Mm-hmm.
The hoops I had to jump through to sort of explain, no, we're going to use a long lens. It's going to be far away. Things are just going to pass really quickly in front of
Yeah.
you. It'll just look like they're running through a thing. You'll
Yeah.
never know. Getting all of that old school sort of camera tricks, all the stuff they used to do back in the day
Sure.
to just get the job done. I love that stuff so much.
Well, it's also similar to what you did with your friends when you were a kid.
Yes,
Watching
absolutely.
that documentary.
You just had to make do with what you had.
Yeah.
That was it. I'm like, okay, if this is what we have, let's figure it out to get what we want. So instead of just cutting things wholesale because, we can't afford that. Well, let's find a way to do it where we can afford it and still get to keep it.
And also, I mean, I assume you were not on set for this, but it reminds me of Lost Season 1, the pilot. There's behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yes.
And them running through the jungle.
Yes.
They're not running anywhere. They're just shaking the camera a lot. And you're like, it looks like they're running.
Yes, as long as you're tight and close, that's all you need.
Well,
and then, of course, I know once I add music to that, it's going to then suddenly be really like,
What was the movie comp that you
Wait, real quick, right here. See this sign next to her?
Yes.
Jacob Howell.
Yeah.
So McDougal, that's one of my best friends as well. Tom McDougal, heads of, he runs the music at Disney. Jacob Howell. So Jacob, Balcom, and Matt Howell, they run the Werewolf by Night podcast.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's amazing.
And I put that on. They had no idea I was doing this, and we didn't even really know each other that well at the time.
Oh, that's so cool.
But I had loved their podcast so much.
Yeah.
I listened to it so much, and I listened to every single thing. And it was such a great sort of sounding board. It was fun for ideas. It was just keep me in that zeitgeist of werewolf. So I did that, and that was a surprise to it. When they watched it, they were like, wait, what? But what was funny was, like, on one of their episodes, they were like, I hate it when they hide things inside of comic book panels, like, a street sign that has the name of the artist or something like that. So I did this to annoy
That's
him.
very funny. McDougal, also the name of the House of Horrors from Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
So there you go. I was going to ask, what were the movie comps that you showed people? Like, was it The Wolfman? Was it Werewolf of London?
No, it wasn't. It was more like the Wolfman. It was more Creature of the Black Lagoon. It was that kind of stuff. Frankenstein.
Because I rewatched most of Werewolf of London last night, and I was like, it does
Werewolves of
feel
London. Yes, that's
the like 30s.
Yes,
one.
the 30s one. That's yes, and that was also a very
Yeah.
big. What's his name? Who was in that?
Henry Hull.
Yes, Henry Hull. Yeah. Yep. And I also loved the design of that werewolf too, because you could still see the expression on
Which
the
is
face
not
of the actor.
dissimilar from
Which is
how
what
he
we
eventually
did
looks.
here.
Yeah.
Yes, and that was a big North Star for us in terms of what it would look like. I didn't want just a big furry face, or I wasn't interested in the long snout.
Sure.
I wanted something that you could humanize in a way and empathize with.
How did you meet Gael?
I met Gael working on Coco.
That's what I thought.
Working on Coco, which he did a genius job. And in my mind, there was no one else that was going to play this role.
That's so interesting.
He was the only one. And even if I thought, like, okay, what if he says no or can't do it? I had no plan B in my head as to who I wanted for this.
Now, why was that? Because he's different than what he is in the comics.
Yes.
Like, his whole vibe is very different.
Very different. And in the comics, he's kind of a dopey teenager kid, and I felt like we had done enough of that already. And I wanted someone that felt like they lived a life, someone who felt trapped or is resigned to this idea that, well, I'm never going to die. And maybe he's 300 years old, maybe 4, maybe 2. I don't know. But the idea, I needed someone who felt like they lived a life, someone who felt like they had wisdom, someone who could look at very dark things and treat it with, I've seen that before. Sure. That doesn't bother me, And Gael just has such an incredible. He's like Buster Keaton to me. Like I so much of what he does is so physical. It's not even the words or how he says it. He can give a look, and suddenly. And Buster Keaton was amazing at that. So, I'm a huge Buster Keaton fan, and so I think that was a big thing with Gael. Like, he has a lot of those same qualities. So that was another last minute thing. I was like, hey, when she breaks open the thing, can we just add spiders? And Joe Farrell, my poor visual effects, but he was so great and so ready to go every time, and he actually taught his son how to do some of those spiders, and got them. So a lot of this was so homegrown, and Joe himself did a lot of stuff in his backyard for this.
That's cool.
One of the scenes coming up, I'll explain what he did, which is incredible. But so much of this has a made in my basement feel, which I love that.
That's the best stuff.
Yes, it's so fun.
This is a weird question. When he's animating those spiders, does he animate them in color or does he animate them in black and white first? Because this came out, a year before in black and white?
Yep. Yeah, so they would have been animated in color.
And then we desaturated or whatever.
Yeah. There's the bowcaster, whatever we called it. I forget. This was a funny scene to film. That mausoleum was a full standing thing. That was one of the big things we had to build. So this little courtyard with that, And inside were also not just the McDougal and those names. Every grave on there had a different name. I put my kids' names and all that. Sounds dark, but it's all they all had somebody in there that meant something to me, which was fun.
Could
These
they,
two
could they
together.
Visit the set at all your kids? Probably not. 'Cause it
My
was COVID,
son,
right?
my son Mick came.
Okay.
He came. He braved it. He came out, and he hung out for several days, which was really fun to have him there. And then of course my brother Anthony was there the whole time shooting for the documentary.
Which people should watch.
Yeah, we got to plug that because it's amazing.
Anthony did an incredible job on that documentary, and it's really just about the love of making things, which I love. This was so fun doing this with Kirk and trying to get him to go the right speed, and we had to do that several times. And he'd be like, "Well, I'm trying something different." I was like, "I don't want you to try something different." Very specific. Because we were best friends, we would get in on it, get into it on set. Yes, exactly. Everyone's like, "What is going on?"
Oh man!
But I was like, "I'm putting you in this, but I'm going to kill you."
And I'm sure he loved that.
He totally loved it.
Like,
And that scream of his is real. That's him screaming, and he did. Because we shot that, I don't know, 4 or 5 times with him getting hit, and he would do these horrendous, high-pitched screams that sound like what's his name in Who Framed Roger Rabbit when he's
Judge Doom.
Judge Doom. Yeah. It was crazy.
Was there any thought to ever keeping Ted semi-practical or
practical?
Yeah.
Yes, we did. We tried as best we could to do that. But in the end, it was best because of our budget and our time just to get it. We did the best we could.
Yeah.
With him. This was another fun. Talk about Buster Keaton, the way he handles this whole thing, this idea. And this was an idea that no one knew if it was going to work or not. But I said, wouldn't it be funny? She gives instructions. You have to just throw it against, it'll stick, just like in all the Mission Impossible movies, Because I remember that working on Mission Impossible 3 when they would throw those explosives. And I was like, want it to be that. And I said, and he throws it against the wall, and of course it just bounces off. Doesn't work. So he has no idea what he's doing. And this one too, it was
so funny,
and ended up being really fun. And of course, he made it all work. He's those are all the shots, the running shots I was talking about. There you go.
Man, he sells it. He sells. It's amazing.
Isn't he great?
Yeah,
he's just so good at it. And this scene was the wall that they built. That's real.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just incredible. The stuff
so
that
cool.
they built for all this. On one soundstage, and we were able, it was like Lego pieces. So we could take the walls, move them around, put them in different places. We could set up scenes. So make it look like 10 different setups as opposed to just one, having to build a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
All modular.
What set had you spent the most time on before this?
Did
you shadow anyone before?
No, Monster Challenge I did.
Okay,
I mean, look, I for the last 20 years I've been on set with watching JJ work, and that was always incredible to see him do his thing. He's so good on set. He's so good with the actors. He's so good with just, knowing what he wants and getting all of that. I loved watching him over the years. We'd go on Star Trek and whatever he was doing, I'd go and hang out with him just to see. And but of course, Matt Reeves as well, Brad Bird.
The best.
And then work in terms
You're
of just
very lucky.
Yes, no, I feel like I learned from the greatest filmmakers around right now, and in terms of just story, working with Pixar over the years has been incredible. Getting to understand and learn about that with them. That since working on The Incredibles till now, that was such a gift, and I feel like I had probably the best sort of graduate school of filmmaking that you could have, and on top of that, scoring the films all these years, and then working with all the editors that I got to work with, who were incredible. Marianne Brandon, incredible editor. Mary Jo Markey, incredible editor. Jeff Ford, one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah.
Just like, and Jeff is a film school unto himself. Sit and talk with Jeff, and it's just, geek heaven. I love it so much.
He's also some of Man-Thing's.
Yes, he does some of the vocalizations.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
He does Man-Thing as well. Yes, exactly.
How did that come about? Was he putting in temp stuff, or you were just like...
We were trying to get this character stuff working, and it wasn't quite doing it yet, right? And Jeff goes, okay, you got to leave. You got to go leave the room. You got to go leave the room. Just give me 90 minutes or something. Leave the room. I don't want anyone seeing me doing this. And I was like, fine. So I went back to the mix stage. This was at the mix point. And so then when I came back, he's like, okay, look at this. And he did these weird like these weird little things. And what he was saying, he was actually saying things, but in a weird way. Like he was answering Gael, but suddenly it became conversational. Sure. You know, and I was like, that's awesome. So he did that whenever we needed something that felt conversational. And he did a great job at that. That's so cool. He really created a soul for that character. This cage. It's so funny. They could just walk in and out of that cage. There was no way to, like she could just slip through the bars.
Yes,
sure. Yeah, she. So in between takes, they would just get up and walk through the bars.
That's amazing.
It'd be like, okay. That was pretty funny.
Were all of the bars there?
Yes. It was a full cage all the way around. So how would you
get like the camera in?
We would put the camera in the cage with them.
But how do you get it? Like,
there's probably
there was a removable section.
Okay.
So one section was removable.
It's a dumb question.
It's the worst cage in the world. There's no way to get it in.
Magic, Patrick. It's all magic.
Okay.
Come on.
They send each piece in through the bars and have to build the camera.
Yes, they have to rebuild it. So this scene we rehearsed the night before. This was probably one of the most difficult scenes. This and the mausoleum scene were the tough ones that we would spend the night before sitting there and going through the lines, going through the dialogue, and if they had ideas of what it could be to change or whatever, they were always very smart about the things that they pointed out or picked at, and Gael is very, very into making sure story is working, all of that. He grew up making movies, it's in his blood, so they were incredible partners to have on something like this, and Laura, whose husband Jez Butterworth, an incredible writer.
Yeah.
So everyone sort of like, was really great at helping to get this to be better and better every step of the way. Those things, I love those things.
Sure.
I wanted to build those. I was like, we got to have monster heads around.
Yeah.
They're representing some of the stuff that this group of people have vanquished over the years.
Are those based on anything from the comics, or are those just original?
Most of them are based on stuff from the comics.
Yeah.
I did add in Bigfoot because that's a personal fear of mine from when I was a kid. Even though I lived in New Jersey, I didn't understand that at the time, that it was only in the Pacific Northwest, but I was still petrified.
Got big legs. He could get there.
Yes, he might get there, And then there's representations of the monster from Monster Challenged, my short film.
Oh, wow.
There's one of Patton's character and one of Ben Schwartz's character.
Amazing.
Up on the walls there, too. So those are kind of fun.
You were not scared of the Jersey Devil growing up?
I was terrified of the Jersey
too.
Devil. Yes.
Well.
And so if I remember, you drive through the Pine Barrens and you're like, this is it. I'm never going to come out. They're never going to see me again. Getting some of these shots was really, really tough. Like that high shot with them coming in, the camera had to be on the outside of the set. They had to take out a section of the set, point it in. But all of this weird stuff, like the fact that we could find those, they found those leather masks in a prop house somewhere.
Wow.
Cool.
Why they exist, I don't know.
You don't want to know.
I don't even know what they were made for, but they showed them to me, and we were just like, yes. And we scrimped and scavenged whatever we could that was already in existence, so that we didn't have to make so much stuff. But those things, they turned out great.
That's so wild.
And then the makeup here, this was just a wild sort of like, let's try something insane.
She looks so cool.
There's no reason for it, no real other than maybe it's ritualistic, something, I guess. But it just felt to give the whole thing a history, a feeling of history, And the only real tech in the whole thing, that was another thing from day one, which I was like, I don't want any phones, I don't want anything like that. And the most techie we get are those sort of
the guys
stun sticks.
Do they have you don't have to answer this specifically, do they know when this takes place within the MCU? Or was this just
we haven't said 100% when, but we can assume that it is around the same time as everyone else we know in the MCU. I just don't know exactly when.
Okay.
And all of the designs on his face are real. They're taking from ancient sort of South American symbols and different things. So it's all very rooted in a real cultural take on what what does he like? For me, I was like, all right, how does he connect to his past? How does he connect to himself? He's been alive this long. He's certainly lost any relatives, anything, that he knew growing up is gone. How does he stay connected to them? And one was this way of painting his face in that sense, saying this is my connection to. And I thought it would be a great way to still then have those on him when he turns into the werewolf as well. So it doesn't go away. It just stays.
I mean, we should talk about the transformation a little bit.
Yes.
Before, just because I'm sure.
Well, originally, I think in the budget there was a big line item for the transformation, which was all to be CG.
Oh.
And I was like, no. We're just going to do like a shadow.
Yeah.
It's just a shadow. We don't need any CG other than maybe one little thing, which we did one little thing with his hand, which was a combination, which you'll see in a second here. Oh, she's looking. He's getting hit. That took a lot of doing, too, figuring out what that was going to look like. How did this. So here we go. Right there. That was the one thing we did, and then the rest was this. And this we tested at Disney in a like a conference room with a big projector. We tested this out, and
it's so jarring.
And so that is all in camera right there. The only thing that's not in camera are the bars. We had to remove those for perspective reasons, and also, but the shadow is projected on the wall. There's a big giant projector behind us, and so all of that is in camera.
That's amazing.
All of it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Now we're back to the real bars again. Everything is.
And
there.
This is a suit. He's got a suit.
That's a suit.
On.
This guy wearing a suit. That's the guy wearing a suit.
Man.
Yep.
How many iterations of the look did you go through? Like physically, I would say.
We went through quite a bit, but there was one early drawing that I got, which I just fell in love with, and we kept pointing to that, and I can point that out to you later. I'll show you in the book what it was. Oh yeah, I wanted that shot so badly. Just that keep pushing in on her face as she is like being her arms getting mauled. And there was a lot of questions. Well, wouldn't her arm be off? I'm like, it's fine. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. No one's going to care.
I've never thought about it until literally this moment, so it doesn't matter.
There was a lot of discussion on set, and then it was like, and then the things will be open. Wait, that doesn't. No, is that real?
Who cares?
Everyone's
like,
I'm like, no, it'll be great. Don't worry, it's going to be great. There was a big conversation about getting him. There was one shot coming up during the fight. Daniel Watts, love Daniel Watts. Love Daniel Watts, another incredible actor.
Cool look too.
Oh God, he's so good. His voice is so good.
Also,
Al Hammaker.
I love Al.
And Eugenie, just incredible. She's been in a lot of things too. She's one of the sweetest people in the world. But Al Hammaker was our hero. He was hilarious. So all of these shots were really specific. This thing was boarded very tightly. All of this.
Look at that.
Yeah, so this is like so fun, right?
Man.
And the idea was, okay, let's keep it as dark as possible. Just have these flashing, malfunctioning laser, the what do you call them? The taser sticks.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go with one of these things where I want it. Boom, jumps, whoom, up there. So the shot right there, he's on the ground right there. But that was a problem shot because they were like, how are we going to get him up? We have to build the thing. It's going to cost $50,000 to do all this stuff. I'm like, well, can he just stand on the ground?
Yeah.
Stand on the ground, put the camera down, let's point up, and we're good. Ripping his ear off was another sort of like semi-last minute thing.
It is insane that the color one, they were fine with the color one.
Yes,
I
know.
So gory,
much
so
blood
much blood
is coming out. It's so great. But it's fun violence.
It's fun.
It's not like realistic torture porn, which I'm not into. I don't love that. I love,
That's awesome.
as we watch someone getting their necks slit. But this was another last one. We were doing all these fights, which I love this so much.
Yeah.
Great. Joe did an amazing job on this. So, okay, what Joe did on this shot. So I wanted at one point blood to hit the screen, and just sit there. And I always wanted this to be one shot, never to change. So the blood, that's real fake blood.
Oh.
That Joe what he did was shot it through a piece of glass at home in his backyard and then used that as something to lay over this image.
Cool.
So that's all real that he shot. And he was sitting there with a paintbrush and fake blood and just whipping it onto the thing. And he did a bunch of different ones. And then we picked all the ones we liked and did that. Those scrapes on there are really cool that they added into the things.
I mean, that's cool though, because that's how they would have done it in the 30s or 40s.
That's,
like, you know,
my
it would not
every
have been,
single thing that we did. I kept saying, how would they have done it then?
Yeah.
And let's do it that way, and it'll be okay.
That's
because whatever they did, if we did it the exact way they did it, it'll still be better because the equipment and everything we have.
Yeah,
it'll work. It's going to be great. Laura did a great job in this fight, I thought. And this boom, I was like, let it come right down on her head, and then can it just stick in her head? Like everything I did was like, can it just do this? Can we just stick the sword in her head? Come on, can we do that? Okay, Michael, fine. Boom, all of this. I remember like beating out this entire fight for Ken Perkins as he was doing the storyboards.
Well, a lot of the storyboards are in the art book too.
Oh, they're beautiful, aren't
beautiful.
they?
Yeah, they're amazing.
Incredible. Ken, I love working with Ken. Ken Perkins. And then this was another one of those things. Okay, we're going to do this slowly. And what I would do is I would play music for them beforehand. Here's the mood.
Okay.
Your
own music, or
a lot of it that I would write. Sometimes it'd be something that I wrote before, for something else. But I'm like, listen to this because this is the mood we're going for, and this is the pace that we're going for. And everyone sort of could know immediately. Sort of, okay, here's the tone and here's the pace. Sure. Right? Because that's always what you're struggling to get as you're doing these takes. You want to make sure they're all consistent. Even if you want to try different things here and there, the best way for me anyway was to communicate what I wanted was by playing the music for them, which was really fun. And to have that theme written, the werewolf theme prior to shooting was kind of fun to have that. Yeah.
How much of your score did you have before you shot? So
I sort of had the main theme and a bunch of little bits and pieces, but most of it was written afterwards.
Did it feel like when you finished filming and you're like, oh, now I still have all the score to write, or ooh, now I still have all the score to write? Like,
no, I was
those are two very different.
I was excited because I
yeah.
knew that the music was going to be the thing that really tied all this together.
Yeah.
And so much of what I was trying to say, it's okay, was about the fact that once it's all together, both with sound effects and the music, it's going to cover all the things that everyone was questioning.
And the black and white, everybody? Right, Disney, black and white.
Well, like I said, once they saw some of the stuff in black and white, they were just like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
Poor Gael had to be in that thing. It's not easy to be in that. And Luis, the stunt double for Gael in the costume, who did all the fighting in the hallway, Luis was incredible.
Yeah,
like that guy was he was just like a rock solid stuntman. He was awesome.
How many days did you shoot?
We had like a 15-day shoot plus I think 2 days of fight. Stuff to shoot.
That's nothing.
So that's really nothing.
So 15. Wow. No, it was quick. It was like bam, bam, bam. But that was why I wanted to board everything completely. I remember I really wanted this shot, her coming up, and then you hearing Verusa, and then she turns around and she's there.
Yeah.
And that took a couple times to get right. I love Laura's look on her face, like, oh God, what now? What now? And then the pouting that she does is so great. Harriet is so amazing.
I mean, the costumes are so good too. I was just looking at both of their. Oh man, my guy! What a guy!
Oh, look at him! Bam! No! Yeah, that was fun to do. And this, bam! We got to explode a coffin, which was so fun. I wanted so badly to have him again. As we're planning out all the blocking and everything, and then he throws her right into the thing and blows it up because we needed sort of an ending for Ulysses as well, right? Because he's the one who started this whole thing. Yeah. So, and the special effects guys were like, yes, we get to blow up. So they ordered a coffin. The coffin was ordered, I believe, like coffins.com or something like that.
That's where I get mine.
Yeah, it was. I literally, it was something like that, just as bland as that. They ordered 2 of the same coffin.
Cool.
They made one that we had for the main shoot in the rotunda, and then the other one was to blow up. And they rigged that whole thing. It was incredible. And so you get one shot at. They rigged two of them so we could shoot two, but the first one blew up so perfectly that we didn't need to blow up the second one, which then would have. And they were very upset about that. Now this, for me, was I love the way this comes back into color now.
Yeah.
And using something like Somewhere Over the Rainbow, to me felt like, I don't know, I wanted to show that she was in power again, that she had been, everything that had been taken from her, she got back. And the best way for me to sort of show that visually was to bring color back in with her as she's sitting there staring at the bloodstone. And the question is, what is she going to do with that now? I don't know. What is she going to do with this power? How does that change the universe of what we know? I don't know yet.
When you say
this was written the day before.
Really?
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Yes.
Such a nice
this
moment.
was written the day before. We never knew what our ending was going to be. We didn't have an ending that any of us really loved. And the day before, we sat around, Heather, me, and Brian Gay, the producer, and this scene came about, and we were just. And Gael really liked it. And Gael had some great ideas. It's like, oh, maybe there's just some stuff all over the place. Maybe they were, who knows what they were doing for a couple of days.
I love
as
that
a
he's playing
werewolf.
solitaire.
Yes. And that was the thing. So I was like, great. So I went into
that's
the props.
not the thing, that's man thing, Michael.
Yes,
Sorry,
exactly.
I just want to
good.
make sure you don't get
Right, I'm
really
working
good.
on the thing now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm working on now. But we went into the prop room, and I was like, all right, that telephone, that bike, that guitar, they're like, what? And I was like, and they brought me this big giant stack of cards. I was like, yes, give
Amazing.
me those. He can play solitaire while he's waiting for him to wake up. It was just, and then a French press was so, it's so great to give him the coffee and it just showed their friendship in such a pure way that all the craziness that we just went through, and to see them in such a normal, relationship that you can identify with. It was just so, I don't know. It just gave it a nice ending. Really fun.
When you tell
Hey,
them,
that's you.
See these end credit
yeah.
things?
Oh yeah,
So-
I forgot. Wait, we tell people that when they see themselves on screen, they say, "Hey, that's me."
It's too late.
Oh,
It's too late.
Too
Can
late.
you just
it's
say
too
it?
late. Hey, that's me.
There you go. Okay.
All right,
thank
there
you.
I did it. Okay. Those are all real cutouts. Those are all real lit
wow.
cutouts that were filmed. So those are all shots. Like they actually had a camera on a track and pulling away from each of those, and the light, and then at the same time moving the lights underneath.
Interesting.
It's all paper. They're all paper cutouts done on layers, and
That's amazing.
it's brilliant. It looks so beautiful.
When you go to them and you tell them, "I want to use Somewhere Over the Rainbow," are they like, "Ugh, that's going to cost so much money"?
Well,
is that something that you
what
think about
was
as a
it-
music person?
I
Like,
do. I
yeah.
knew. I thought it was going to be, but what happened was, yeah, that's me. There's a. What happened was originally, the song I had in mind was Edelweiss.
No, it's good.
If it had they were in the mountains. It felt
Yeah.
it felt like it felt like a right, but they wouldn't give us the rights to do it. They wouldn't let us do it. And we tried. We wouldn't,
Yeah.
but they would not approve it for this. So then I was going through other things, and I came across Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I thought, oh my God, yes,
Obviously.
of course.
Yeah.
Of course, this is so perfect. So once I put that in there, then it was like, that's it. But then the
course.
question was, are they going to give this to
Yeah.
us?
Yeah.
So at first they were, no, because Warner Brothers owns the publishing, and they were like, first it was like, I don't know, because, and then at some point you're thinking, well, what if we want to use it for something? I
Sure.
get that.
Yeah.
But I was like, I called the music people. I was like, come on, please, come on. Because we had just done Batman and all
Yeah.
these things, and they were like, okay. All right. No, they were very nice about it. And we worked something out, and we were able to use it, which was great. But I think it's the thing that really sort of cements the end
Of course.
of this show, and it was just great. Heather Quinn, great,
There you go.
great person. Love
so
her.
for future directing
camera.
things,
Yes.
do you want to stick with genre things? Do you want to just do a drama? Do you want to what are the thoughts now that you've done this?
I love genre so much.
Yeah.
It's we're sitting in my office. You can look around my office.
Yeah,
You
we
get
get
a
it.
sense
We
that
know,
I
yeah.
like genre, right? I love it. I do like drama. I think there is a drama that I would love to do about sort of growing up in the neighborhood that I grew up. And I wrote a script about that, and so, but even that has twinges of like genre in it. But I think it'll always be part of something of what I do. it's just the way that you can sort of communicate a story to a wider audience through genre to me is so fascinating. You know, as a kid who grew up loving Star Trek, the original series.
Yeah.
I mean, the human stories they were able to tell in that had nothing to do with science fiction were just incredible. So that's, I don't know. I think I'm stuck there.
You just did the Star Trek thing, right?
Yeah, the unification.
Yeah,
yes.
it's so cool.
Yeah, the one
People
with
should
Kirk
watch
and
that
Spock.
too.
Yeah, that was a really beautiful short done by Otoy.
Would you want to revisit these characters again?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love these guys so much.
What if
you
you
know,
said no?
nah.
I'm
Nah.
good.
No, I meant, do you have ideas? Like, do you?
I love them. I think that I have a million ideas
Yeah.
of what I would love to do with it. Yes, and hopefully one day we'll be able to do that.
Be great.
You know, this came at a very interesting time in sort of the studio history in terms of streaming and all of that, and everyone trying to figure out what streaming is.
Yeah, and
Over-
post Endgame too.
Yes,
You know,
yeah, absolutely. What's next for them?
Yeah.
And then you get into a situation, well, okay, we made way too many things for streaming, and it's now we have to pull back. So now we're in the pullback phase. So
Yeah.
I think something like this, we'll see what happens to it. Hopefully it'll come back, and we'll be able to do something else that's fun with it, because I do think the idea of Elsa, Jack, and Ted is they were so beautiful together that how do we not do something?
Yeah.
How do we not? So hopefully we will.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
You're
This was
welcome.
Fun.
I mean, it's great. I feel like that's how we end. If we come back from the
Do you think we'll ever watch
Every
something
single
we
one.
don't like? And if we do, will we be honest about it?
I think that would only be the case if the person who we were on with was like, well, this is obviously not good. You know?
Right.
They would have to be the one to say that.
Right. Like if we got Eddie Deason and he did Surf 2.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. He's not on my short list for people to reach out to, but I guess we could eventually.
You wouldn't want to sit down with Eddie Deason and learn about Surf 2?
It would be an experience.
Yep.
I'll tell you that.
Are you guys not friends on Facebook?
We're not, but I have seen his Facebook posts.
Every couple of seconds he posts the new Facebook post? That's our plug for today. Go befriend Eddie Deason on Facebook.
All the Deason heads out there.
They're called D's Nuts. Those are the Deason heads.
Yeah, you got to it before me. I was trying to figure out how to work my way into it, but you just got there. No, but this was so fun. We went and watched this at Michael's house with him in his office, and he has one of the coolest offices I've ever been in.
A lot of props.
Before.
A lot of props.
A lot of props, a lot of memorabilia related to his projects that he's worked on, and just getting to see where someone that creative sits down and actually like does the thing.
It was interesting when we were recording. We were all sitting on his couch across from his screen, where he looks at the stuff, right? He edits to it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to say anything, but I sat down on a Star Wars gun. It was under me for part of it, and at the end he actually said, "Brian, why didn't you tell me that there's a giant gun under you?" And I was like, I didn't want to be a nuisance. I didn't break the gun. Let's be clear.
Okay.
It was just poking me.
Was it a Han?
No,
gun, or
it was a
whose-
stormtrooper, like one of their
Wow.
rifles. Yeah.
So that may have been his from Rise of Skywalker,
Yeah.
because he played one of the stormtroopers in it.
And I sat on it. He was in Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah, he's.
Who-
I think he's in. I think he's in Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker.
Do you know which stormtrooper he is?
I believe he's one of the red ones in Rise of Skywalker.
Ooh.
That's on like the Star Destroyer when
Mhm.
they're fighting on top of the Star Destroyer. And I think he's maybe on Jakku in the opening scene in Force Awakens.
Wow. Okay.
I think so.
He's not the stormtrooper that goes, "You don't have to be crazy to work here, but it sure does help," right? That's not him?
No, but that is my favorite scene in that movie.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Remember when you thought Chewie was dead? And that he wasn't?
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, I remember.
I was so relieved. I got to go to the premiere of that. I went to the premiere of it.
Yeah?
Yep.
Was Chewie there?
Yeah.
So you knew he wasn't dead?
Yeah. He was there. I have some good memories of Chewie, the guy who plays him. He's a very sweet man. Can I tell a Chewie story? Listen, I think
Sure.
people deserve it if they've gotten this far.
Yeah, I would love it.
We were backstage at a Star Wars celebration in London 2 years ago, and he was about to go on stage because he's in the Acolyte, and Henry and I were just hanging out, my son Henry, and Jonas, is that how you say his name? He came and sat with us and he's like, "Hey, I bet you can do a Chewie noise," and Henry did it back, and they did it back and forth. And he goes, I'm so sorry. He goes, I really miss my kids, and I saw a kid, and I kind of just wanted to talk to a kid. I'm like, no, it was great. Like, oh, Henry has such a good memory of Chewie now. It's very sweet.
Wow.
It's very sweet. Yeah, he was a nice guy. Still is.
Was Henry's Chewie better than Jonas's Chewie?
Jonas is a really good Chewie. Does a really good Chewie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We should get Jonas on the show.
What would you want him to do? Solo, probably, right? Because he's in it the most.
Yeah, probably Solo.
Willow? He's in Willow 1, like the first episode quite a bit.
Yeah. No way to watch it.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching with us. This was a very fun episode. We hope you enjoyed it. We've got a really good one next week. I'm very excited for that. Are you excited?
I'm insanely excited. You know what a fan of Cameron Crowe I am. But I will say that I don't know if we can top this episode. This was maybe... Walking out of it was like, I think we did our best episode to date.
Probably. Yeah, I felt really good leaving.
Do you think maybe the listeners should just stop listening then?
No.
Okay. Stop listening.
Well, Brian, of course, it will be very funny when listeners realize what next week is. I'm not even sure if you remember what next week is, but I'll tell you in a few minutes.
Hold on,
when we start recording the next episode.
Oh, I think I know where we're going with this. Oh yeah, no, definitely. Don't even bother.
Bye, everyone.
It's skippable.
We love you.
I'm undecided.
Thanks for listening to Hey That's Me, a commentary podcast. This has been a That Was Just So Funny production. Your hosts have been Brian Lynch and Patrick Hotner. Music was by Alex Peabody, and our art was by Abigail Noy. You can find out more about the show by going to heythat'smepod.com and checking out our Patreon at patreon.com/commentary. The show was recorded by Mark David Christensen. If you've enjoyed the show, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Please tell your friends about this show.